Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in on another episode. I have Jimmie Jays with us today. Welcome on.
Thank you very much. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about you?
So I am the creator of Meetup Marketer and the owner of JimmieJays.com. And I've been inside of network marketing myself. I've been fortunate enough to, it's been 11 years now that I've been job free as a result of network marketing. So super grateful for the industry. I'm really passionate about teaching network marketers who hate chasing friends and family how to get leverage and get authority inside of their recruiting.
Awesome. I love the aspect that you like to teach how to not chase down friends and family, because eventually, you get uninvited to things like birthday parties, funerals, everything, really, because people are like, oh, they're going to prospect me.
Yeah, totally. And even just the mentality, as you're enrolling new people into your business, when they think that they have a limited size list, when they feel like they've got 50 names on their list, and once they've gone through that list, they're going to either be successful or not successful. It puts a lot of pressure on them, and it puts them into a scarcity mindset, right? And they're afraid to get no's because every no that they get is one closer to them being out of business in their mind. And so by avoiding no's, they also avoid getting yeses. So if you can help your downline get to a point where they're consistently meeting new people, now it totally changes where they have this abundance mentality and their goal is just to sort through people rather than trying to save them and hope that they don't say no.
I agree completely. I was one of those people that learned marketing prior to network marketing. And so I have a little different perspective. I know how marketers do it, and they, attract through attraction marketing people who are interested in what they are promoting and develop a different sort of list, just to kind of house that list in a different spot, and like through email marketing, and then kind of slowly nurture those people, because everyone's buying time is different depending on what's going on in their life. So it's interesting that we have you on today and you teach kind of that offline type of stuff. How do you kind of partner that in with doing a lot of meetup.coms? That's kind of what drew me to you, is just finding out how you use that platform.
Sure.
As an offline to online strategy.
Yeah, so Meetup, for those viewers who aren't sure what Meetup is, it's a social media platform similar to Facebook or anything like that. The difference is that it's dedicated to helping you do more of what you love and meet more people in your city. So there is two different ways that you can use Meetup. One way is by being a member on Meetup, which is free, and the other way is by being what's called a Meetup organizer. And so when you go onto Meetup.com, you can just type in some different topics or different interests that you have when you create your account. And if you went on there and said, hey, I'm interested in, losing weight, and I'm interested in yoga, and I'm interested in, online marketing or business or dog walking, whatever you want, what happens is Meetup will then introduce you to local groups inside of your city that are doing activities locally to you that are in line with that. So it makes it a really great place to prospect from, because you're not just meeting random people, you're meeting very targeted people. So if I was in a weight loss network marketing company, I could literally go in and type in yoga, weight loss challenge, fitness, jogging, hiking, anything you want. And you can find a bunch of groups that are filled with people who already want to lose weight, which is pretty awesome if you're in a weight loss business. If you're in any company, that has a money-making component to it, you could go in and, check off home business, work from home, stay-at-home moms, work from home moms, entrepreneurship, marketing. So you can go through there and literally click any of these topics that are interesting to you, and it's going to link you up with other groups that are kind of like-minded. So that's how you be a member on Meetup. That's free to do, and you can find some local groups. And being an organizer is a paid thing. It's $20 a month. But as an organizer, you create the group and now people are being attracted to you and they're joining your group. So those are kind of the two different ways that you can use Meetup, and it's really a way of meeting people online and then taking the relationship offline where you can meet in person and build a local team.
That sounds awesome. It sounds like with the hyper-targeted members in there that are there already and they're sort of seeking out what you have, the first option is to just join a group like that and go to some of those meetups, and then you would hope to network and have some of those conversations, and they would then find out what it is that you have, it sounds like.
Yeah. So for the listeners that are on the line that have a marketing background like you do, which is, I don't know how many of them are. I know for me, I've gone to countless network marketing trainings, and whether you call it network marketing or multi-level marketing or relationship marketing, the one word that's always consistent is marketing, and yet we don't learn marketing ever, which is pretty interesting. This is a marketing conversation, how to get people to come to you. So if you're a marketer on the line, and you already know how to do this, think about Meetup as your actual event being what's called a lead, being your lead magnet. So it's a thing that you give away for free in exchange to get somebody's contact info and to build some goodwill with them. And then from there, that's where you continue the relationship and talk to them about your business. If you're not an online marketer, think about it this way. Normally, the way that network marketing works is you're supposed to go basically from friend to customer or business partner. That's literally the reason network marketing was created, was because that path is the path of least resistance. And that works great until you run out of friends and family to talk to. And at that point, now you have to go from stranger to business partner or customer. And that process just is very awkward, unless you're one of the 1% of people that is, got the gift of the gab, or for whatever reason you can do that. But for the majority of people, it's a lot simpler conversation for you to think about trying to go from stranger to friend, and then from friend to business partner or customer. So just break it down to 2 steps in your mind. The first step is to literally just make friends. Then after that is show your friends your business. And then after that is stay friends whether they join you or not. It's a really simple formula for network marketing. Meetup is just you going from stranger to friend. That's it. It's just a really simple way for you to meet people that you already have something in common with, who you could be friends with. And then once you've developed that friendship, then from there you can introduce them to your business. And some of them will be customers, some of them will be business partners with you, and some of them will do neither. And you can just stay friends. And once you've got a systematic way to do that, now all of a sudden your business is in your control. It's not just hoping your downline does some stuff or hoping that you recruit the one person that's a superstar. You literally have a predictable path to growing your business.
I think that's great because you can, meet a lot of different types of people and slowly nurture those relationships. I would think that pulling the trigger too soon and trying to introduce them into your opportunity or product too soon is the equivalent online of spamming them.
Yep.
So did you have any particular number of times that you would see them first, or you just kind of played out the relationship on their interest level?
Yeah. So I'll kind of give you the beginner version of that and then the advanced. So the beginner answer to that is once you feel like you're friends. So maybe you hit it off and it's after, one conversation and you're like, you know what, we're friends, we hit it off, and they have some sort of a need that they've expressed. I'm going to go ahead and show this to them. And maybe it takes 5 times. So just use your intuition about, when that time comes. The advanced answer is that the gold standard that you can get in marketing, whether it's network marketing or anything, is when somebody else expresses a problem to you and is looking for a solution, right? If you're out there and you're saying, if I see somebody, I'm like, hey, listen, you need to lose weight, you should take my product, right? That's pushy, aggressive marketing that people want to get away from.
Yes.
Whereas if somebody comes up to you and they're like, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds in the next 30 days and I've tried everything, do you know something that works? And then you were to go ahead and say, oh yeah, well, I've done this and I've lost 20 pounds myself. See, now it's not you chasing them anymore. So the gold standard is you get somebody to express a problem or express a need, and if you can, have them look to you as the authority. So I mentioned there's two different ways to use Meetup. The second way is by being an organizer. And the great thing about being an organizer is it positions you as an authority. You're the leader. You're the person in the front of the room. And so what I do at my events is I'll do an event where I'm just doing a lot of training or teaching or whatever the case may be. I'm not there to pitch my business. I'm there to, serve any way that I can. And so let's just use the fitness analogy. If you had a fitness company, the event is not, go on to Meetup and say, this event is called Herbalife, come check out my shakes. Or this event is called, Isogenics, come learn about cleansing. That's not what I'm talking about. Don't lead with what you want, lead with what they want. So if what they want is weight loss, then you have a weight loss group and you can do anything that you want that's related to weight loss. So if you want to, if you're a mom and you want to go and do a stroller run and invite some moms to come with you, then cool, you can do that. And what I do is I have it's kind of like a registration form. So when people show up at the event, they give me their name, their phone number, their email address, all of that. And then at the end of the event, I have them fill in some extra information that is kind of related to the event. So, what did you enjoy about, the event, or how would you rate it? What are some future activities you might want to try? And then I have some questions in there that are specifically designed so that the end user gives me a problem. Right? So I'll say something like, is your goal to lose weight or to build muscle? How much weight would you like to lose? When would you like to lose it by? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your nutrition? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your fitness? So I'm putting some questions in there for them to express a problem. And I don't do any selling, any recruiting at the event. And then I would call them back the next day and say, hey, thanks for coming. And the first thing you're going to notice is people will treat you completely differently if you've added value to them first. If you spend the time, and imagine somebody loses 5 or 10 pounds just by coming to do some strolls with you or running some stairs or whatever before you ever make a pitch, right? They're going to be totally different towards you. So you call them back and they say, thanks for having me out. I had a great time. You say, no problem. I just called to ask you some questions about your form. Do you have a minute? And they say, yes. And you say, well, great. On your form here, it says that you wanted to lose 20 pounds in the next 30 days. Is that true? And they say, yeah. And you say, okay, cool. What have you tried that's worked before? What have you tried that hasn't worked before? Just ask them a couple of questions. And then you say something like, I don't know if you know this, but I've lost 20 pounds myself. Would you like my help? Or I don't know if you know this, but I've helped my friend Sally lose 20 pounds. Would you like my help? Now, as soon as they say yes to that, you now have literally overt permission to do whatever the heck you want. They say yes, you say, cool. Here's what I need you to do. I'm going to send you a link. Watch this video. I'll call you back in 4 minutes. Here's what I need you to do. I'm having an event on Tuesday. Why don't you come as my guest? Here's what I need you to do. I'm going to send you a sample. I want you to, whatever that process normally is for you, you can go ahead and do it now with zero resistance because they've already asked you for the information.
I think that's great because it takes it and positions you in a way that you're no longer selling. You've asked them if you can be the one to help them.
Yeah. Yeah, think about it like in one way you're on opposite sides of like a negotiation table and you're trying to sell them. And what you want to do is you want to flip around to the other side of the table with them. And one side of the table is like the thing that they're trying to accomplish. And you're going to flip around and help them and say, hey, listen, you want to lose weight? Maybe I can help you. Or you want to make more money? Maybe I can help you. You want to travel more? Maybe I can help you. You want more green, energy in your life? Like whatever your business is about, it's just helping them solve that problem.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like, just from what I've understood on your business page, that you were in something similar to that, like a weight loss network marketing company. Is that exactly the model that you followed when you were building?
Yeah, so specifically what I did is that what I would recommend to people is that they do the thing that they love. So for me, even though, I was in a weight loss company, so it makes sense to do weight loss events. The events that I actually did was a board game called Cash Flow. So for any of your viewers who've read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki created a board game that is all about how to create passive income. And so that's what I love. And so my group was or is about that. It's a cash flow club. And so people read Rich Dad Poor Dad, they want to create passive income, and then they find my group online through either Meetup, or they can actually find me on Google because Meetup has great SEO, so you can kind of tap into some free SEO by being a Meetup organizer. And they go online and they type in cash flow and then their city name, and the first thing that pops up is me. And they come and they play this board game, and the board game teaches about how to make money through essentially business, the stock market, or real estate are kind of the three. And so we just play this board game. I teach people how to play it. And at the end of it, they circle yes and no on my form. And usually they either want to learn more about the stock market, learn more about real estate, or learn more about creating their own business. And so if they circle yes on business, then I call them back and talk to them about how they could start a business with me. If they circle yes to real estate, I actually send them to somebody else that can help them. And same thing with the stock market. So everybody that comes to the event, my goal is just to teach them and then send them down whatever path they want to go down, rather than trying to, close them on something. And this is kind of more advanced, but I've set up a joint venture with those other two people. So if somebody comes to my event and they want to learn about real estate, I'll send them off to somebody else. And if they end up doing real estate or buying the course or whatever, then I get a commission anyways. So literally whichever direction somebody goes, I still get a commission, and I don't have to close people. I can just help them go whatever path that they want to go down. And because you can get enough leverage with Meetup, you can get in front of enough people that you don't need them all to do what you want them to do. You can just push them whichever way they want to go.
I think that's a great option because you're now positioning yourself as somebody who is an expert referrer for the person of what they want to do. So they originally had a thought like, oh, I'm only interested in real estate. And if you had like 80% of your group interested in real estate, you'd be like, oh, I missed out. Next time I hope it's 80% interested in their own business or something like that. So you've positioned it that no matter what it is that they're looking for, you have the answer to it and have made it so you can still be profitable no matter which of the three options they choose.
Exactly.
And just to go back, for those listeners who aren't sure what SEO is, you kind of inadvertently do know what SEO is, because if you go to Google and you type in how to find blue shoes, then you're looking for the first page of Google Answers. And by titling your meetup.com group to what people are searching for, then they have a better chance of finding you. So if you think about your opportunity and what problem you solve for people, if you just think about like what you would go to Google and type in to find that, then that's what you would put in.
Yeah, if somebody lived in Austin and they typed in weight loss Austin, imagine if the first thing that popped up on Google was your meetup group, and they could instantly go there and attend one of your free events, and then from there you could introduce them to your product or your service.
That sounds great. How do you have, or do you have people come back to your meetup after you've referred them out to one of the three services that you do?
Yeah, there's people that come, consistently back to the events that I host. And as long as you make your event a little bit different every time. So there was one gentleman that I was coaching who worked for the John Maxwell team. And so his event was called, John Maxwell Book Study. And it was, this week, John Maxwell Book Study. Next week, John Maxwell Book Study. Next week, John Maxwell Book Study. And so it's good. However, there isn't a reason for somebody to come to this particular event, and there's not really a reason for them to come back. And so instead of that, I just said, what book are you talking about? And he said, well, right now we're doing 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, which is a fantastic book if you're in network marketing. And so we just said, well, why don't you do this? This week is going to be called The Law of the Lid, which is chapter 1, and it's one of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And then, the next week we're going to be talking about the Law of the Mirror. So now all of a sudden, all of the events are still the same thing. They're all, a John Maxwell book. But if you miss this week, then you're never going to know what the Law of the Lid is, right? Or if you don't come next week, you're not going to ever know what the Law of the Mirror is. And so just by having something a little bit different each time, you'll get people to come back on an ongoing basis. And the people that come multiple times to your events, in my experiences, have been the ones that have been the best prospects and, bought the most stuff. And there's great. A lot of my best friends actually have met through Meetup and just built a relationship by having them come to multiple Meetup events.
Mm-hmm. Nice. How do you teach this with your team as far as duplication? Do you have them do the same thing, or do you also teach them online strategies? What's your primary means of duplication in your own team?
Sure. So I think I've always struggled with duplication in that I understand that it's important, and yet in reality, in practice, I've seen it not be super effective. And what I mean by that is um, sometimes in the name of duplication, we try to make everything fit the same mold, right? And so if I was a successful investor and a script that worked for me was I'd call somebody up and say, hey, Joe, an interesting business opportunity just crossed my desk. That might be a normal conversation for me to have, right? And then all of a sudden, Jim the plumber calls up his friends and says, hey, this interesting business opportunity crossed my desk. And they're like, shut up, Jim, you don't even have a desk. What are you talking about? And so the idea of duplication is amazing and you need to have it, but the idea that everybody's a cookie cutter doesn't work so well. And so there's two types of duplication. One would be like the McDonald's style of duplication, where everything's exactly the same. Every hamburger is exactly the same. Every restaurant set up exactly the same. The other one would be, if you're familiar with Subway restaurant, they also have a duplicatable system where when you go in, the lettuce is always in the same spot, and the tomatoes are always in the same spot, and the pickles are in the same spot, and they have the same 6 sauces. But every end user gets a very customized experience. They get exactly the sub that they want every single time. So if you want to talk about that type of duplication, that's what I think you should have in your network marketing company. Is you should say, here's the outcome we're looking to get to, and you can do that however the heck you want. So what I would tell people is that system is that you want to go from stranger to friend, and then from friend to business partner or customer, or stay friends. And that's what you should duplicate. And so if for one person, the way that they want to make friends is by, going and joining some moms groups, cool. If you want to, create your own meetup group, do that. If you want to use Facebook and meet people that way, cool. But don't use Facebook where you're just spamming people links. Follow the same process. Make it your goal to make a friend and find a need first. So that's what I would suggest for duplication. As far as when you should start that process, I think I was of the opinion, even just a couple years ago, that until somebody got to a certain rank, that they shouldn't be doing any cold market prospecting, that they should just be talking to their warm market. And anything else is a distraction. And I still agree to that to a point. Your new distributor is going to do everything that they can to avoid making phone calls. So they'll, want to talk to you about their the comp plan again, or let's go over the ingredients again, or let's do some more dream building. Like anything they can do to not make a phone call is what they're doing. So it's your job to help them make some calls, and it's their job to try to stall for as long as possible and not make calls. So that's kind of the game that you're playing with somebody. And what I've noticed is that once you help somebody come up with a way to meet new people, whether that's Meetup or anything else, that they act differently about their existing warm market. They don't care so much. The no's aren't as painful when they know that, they just added 100 new people to their Meetup group this month. And so, if 10 people on their list say no, that's okay, because they've got 100 new friends in the pipeline, and it's not going to be, the end of the world for them. So that would be my suggestion. When it comes to Meetup, I would suggest helping people start a Meetup group right away. If they've got some business experience, then creating a group that is, about your business or about your product, not specifically about your business, but about entrepreneurship, and not specifically about your product, but about the outcome of your product. So if your product is, you have a travel club, then have a group that's all about adventure and travel and doing fun stuff like that. If you have a crypto business, then it could just be education about cryptocurrency, not necessarily, selling your business. So if you're kind of experienced, I would go down that path. But the easiest way to kind of create your group is just you want to attract more people that are like you. So rather than the cookie cutter approach of saying, hey, every single person should have the exact same Meetup group, I would say build a Meetup group with the intention of meeting more people that are like you. So in marketing terms, that would be you are your own avatar. So you want to say that if you're not a marketer, it just means meet people that are like you. So if you're a single parent and the reason that you joined network marketing, the reason you joined your company was because you wanted to make $3,000 a month so that you can stay home with your kids and not have to go to work anymore, then here's what I bet. I bet that if you build a Meetup group that's got 2,000 other single parents in it, that a percentage of those single parents will also want to stay home with their kids. If you got started in the business because, you're a baby boomer and, you want to have money to retire in 5 years from now or 10 years from now, and that's why you started your business, here's what I bet. If you have a group of 4,000 other baby boomers and you just do baby boomer activities, that there's going to be a percentage of them that are going to not have enough saved for retirement, who are going to also be looking for an extra source of income. So find people that are like you. If you're into fitness, build a fitness group. Even if your company is, you sell essential oils and the thing that you're really into is travel. And the reason you joined your business was just because you wanted to make more money to travel. You don't have to make an essential oils business. You can have a travel group. And in your travel group, you just go and you do, fun travel style stuff, or you go have wine tastings, or just anything adventurous. That's the kind of key behind travel, just adventure. And then on your form, it might say something like, how many vacations did you take last year? How many vacations would you like to take every year? And then underneath that, it says, what stopped you from taking the amount of vacations you want, right? They say, last year I took 0 vacations and I'd like to take 5 a year. Well, now you've got a really great reason to call them back, and they've just expressed a problem to you. And it's probably that they don't have enough time or enough money. And every single person on the line here has a solution to time and money. So you call them back, and when they say, the reason I haven't gone on more vacations is because, I just don't make enough money. Now you can say, well, that used to be my problem too. Now I travel 5 times a year. Would you like my help? And you can introduce them what you do and how they could make some extra money to travel. So your group does not have to be about your business. It literally is just to meet more people that are like you, because the people that are like you are going to be the easiest people for you to go from stranger to friend with, and then you can go from friend to business partner or customer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds great. So as far as when you're coaching this to somebody that said, yes, I want your help, and they're getting started with you, one of the things that all network marketers want is more time freedom. So how do you teach that? Is it one-to-one calls with people getting started new in the business, or do you actually have something on the back end of your website where you're kind of allowing them to go through at their own pace? Like, how are you initially getting people started?
So how am I helping my new people get started, or how am I finding and recruiting people myself?
How are you helping people get started? New people.
Yeah. So, if the path is really that you want to go from friend to business partner or customer, then the most natural place to start is on your warm market. So I'm not against warm market. I would still go ahead and talk to those people. The problem is, if that's your only plan. If your only plan is your warm market and you're dependent on that, then that's where you get stuck. So if somebody was brand new and getting started, I would say, here's what we need to do. We need to do 2 things. One of them is we need to move people from your friends list to to turning into customers or business partners, and be detached from the outcome. Right? It's not your job to convince them to be in or to convince them to be out. Your job, as my friend Mark Janewski says, is just to collect decisions. That's it. Just collect a yes or collect a no. That's your only job. So one thing we need to do is we need to take people from, friend to business owner or customer, and you've already got a list of friends. The second thing we need to do is we need to have a way for you to start meeting new friends on an ongoing basis. And the easiest path to that is Meetup. So let's find something that you enjoy. Find something that you're passionate about. Let's create a Meetup group today, so that in a month from now, 6 months from now, 3 months from now, whatever, once you've gone through your warm market, you're going to have a brand new list of people that you've now have created a relationship with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's powerful when you help them do what you're doing. It's leading by example. It's giving them a platform they never had. Is there anything else besides meetup.com that you recommend they do, like take different yoga classes or whatever they're passionate about, or even create like a Facebook group around the same thing? Or
Sure. So there's something I teach called the recruiting quadrant. And if you've ever read the cash flow quadrant, you can just think of like a plus sign, I guess. And so there's 4 different quadrants. And on one axis, it says that you're either talking to people one at a time or one to many. So those are your only 2 choices. You're either prospecting one at a time or in groups. The other axis is that you're either chasing people or you've got authority positioning, right? So either you're chasing prospects or they're chasing you. It's only two ways it can be.
Mhm.
So in the bottom right quadrant, we've got what I call the grind. And that's where you're chasing prospects one at a time. And unfortunately, 99% of network marketing training is all just different ways of doing that, just different ways of chasing prospects one at a time. The next quadrant that we've got is what I call vendor, and that is where you're doing still the chasing positioning, but you're doing one to many. So maybe you go to a trade show, and now there's 100 people that are there. You're still kind of chasing people a little bit, but at least there's groups of them. The next quadrant is the top right, and that one is what I call busy professional, and that's where you've got that authority positioning where people are chasing you, but you're back to one at a time. So this would be like if you got a really great referral and somebody was like, hey, Sally told me that you helped her with her retirement. Could you help me? Or Bob told me that you helped him lose 20 pounds. What package should I buy? So you're not chasing them, they're chasing you. Which is really good. But again, you're back to one at a time. Another example would be doing a three-way call. So if you're the upline and your downline edifies you properly and brings you on, now the prospect is looking up to you. They're excited to hear from you. You get treated with the respect that you deserve. You way higher closing rate. But again, it's back to one at a time. So that's the third quadrant. And the last one is called the star quadrant. And that's where you've got that authority positioning and you're recruiting people in groups. You're prospecting in bunches. And that really is the gold standard of where you should want to be. So if you wrote a best-selling book, for instance, right, there's going to be people coming to you and you're talking to groups all at once. If you're speaking from stage, same thing, right? You've got that authority positioning and you've got groups of people all at once who you're talking to. If you can do Facebook ads properly, you can do the same sort of a thing where you can create that authority positioning. So that's kind of the gold standard of where you want to be. Unfortunately, up until now, you've had to, write a best-selling book, which isn't easy to do. Or, Facebook ads, it's literally, I think I spend 14 grand a month on Facebook ads right now. So unless you've got a big amount of budget that you can put out there to be able to get people coming to you, it's not really an option. So to me, Meetup is the only one of those options where you can still get that, authority positioning. You can still get people coming to you, and you can do it for, just a couple hours a week and $20 a month ad spend. So there's really nothing that comes close to it in the star quadrant that can really touch Meetup. So if somebody, unless they're have a big ad budget or unless they already know how to do online marketing, Meetup is the fastest path for somebody to get that positioning.
I think it sounds like a good plan to do both, is start to learn the online marketing, but also do this Meetup where you're starting to build that know, like, and trust factor, also build authority and everything in person. And people are able to get to know you better. You're filling your sales funnel. It's an in-person sales funnel instead of just having to be online. But it doesn't take a huge ad budget. It just takes the monthly cost for meetup.com, and $20 a month isn't a big expense to make money.
Yeah, the bigger part is that you have to put some time in, right? So if you were doing ads or something like that, you're putting in the money and not as much time. Whereas if you're doing Meetup, you're going to have to put some time in. And so usually for me, I do one event a month that takes me about 2 hours. Some people do one a week. But again, if you're getting in front of groups of people, if there's one person there, it takes you 2 hours. If there's 30 people there, it takes you 2 hours, but you get a lot better result. So that's really what you want, is you want to get that leverage factor. And I would add to what you said that Meetup is a great place to practice. For me, my first Meetup events were, 5 people, and I just did it at my house, and, we're in a library. So I was meeting people that way. And I literally went from being like afraid of a 5-person audience. My upline said, go say something inspirational at the break of your, event. And that was like 5 people. And I probably rambled for 30 minutes and I was so nervous and everyone just wanted lunch and it was horrible. And went from that to, a few years later, confidently speaking on stage in front of 17,000 people. And the only reason I could do that was because I had a bunch of reps, with 5 people or 10 people or 20 people, kind of crafting my message and getting, used to being the leader, getting used to that authority positioning. So it's a really great way for you to do that. And if you, aspire to be, a leader and a person of authority, it's just a great place for you to, to go and to practice that. And most people that are on Meetup, they don't own businesses. Most people on Meetup, you can go on Meetup and find groups about how to knit, groups about dog walking, groups about all kinds of, super niche weird things. And it's kind of got the same feel as like Airbnb or Uber or something like that, where when you meet the person, you don't treat them like a taxi driver. You don't treat them like the hotel staff. You're just instantly kind of friends. You have a weird connection where, you're sharing something. And so Meetup's kind of the same way, where people, they'll always offer, can I bring something to your Meetup event, or can I bring snacks, or can I bring wine, or can I bring whatever? And they're just so appreciative, even if you're not, used to hosting events or anything like that. Just by leading with value first, and just being on that platform, you have just a weird connection with people where you build a relationship faster. And as opposed to maybe Facebook, where some people are on Facebook because maybe they want a business opportunity, and other people are on Facebook because, they want to see pictures of their grandkids. Every single person who's on Meetup is on Meetup because they want to meet new people in their local area, and they want to do more of what they love. So every single person that's on that platform, they're either an extrovert or they're willing to get over it, right? They want to meet new people. And so you're meeting people that already want to meet new friends, which makes it just a lot different conversation and a lot easier.
So where do you host your meetups? Do you rent a space? Or if it was somebody just starting and they're listening to this and they're like, okay, in 2 weeks, I'm going to host my first meetup. I'm going to give this a try. Where would they host this?
Well, I do, entire trainings on this sort of thing. So if anybody wants, I've got some content like that on my blog, and some, free lists of locations. But if you're just getting started out, what I would say is two things. Number one is free locations. Number two is paid locations. And paid locations don't have to cost you money, which I'll explain in a minute. So free locations would be like in the fitness arena, for example. You could just say, hey, we're going to go for a River Valley jog, and we're going to push our strollers around. You don't need a location. The location is the River Valley. There's lots of free places. Sometimes there's restaurants that have, rooms at the back that are private that they'll let you use for free if you, order some food while you're there. There's libraries, lots of different places like that where you can get a free location. And then also, depending on what you're doing, as a fitness example, if you wanted to go to a yoga studio, for instance, if you call them up and you say, hey, I'm the organizer of Get Fit Mind, Body, and Soul, and we have 1,500 members, and we'd love to come and do yoga. Do you offer like a first time free or something like that? And a lot of times they'll say yes, and you'll say, great, I'd like to bring 30 people with me on this date. And we'll also give you some exposure in our group, so you're going to get 1,500 new eyes on your business. They're more than happy to do something like that with you. So there's that's kind of some of the ways that you get free locations. If you ever do pay for a location, then you just pass that cost on to your members. So you just say, hey, this event is $5 per person, and that $5 a person covers all of your costs. And sometimes you can even make profit on the front end of your meetup group, where it costs you $5 a person and you charge 10, and they get $100 worth of value for $10. So they're happy, you're happy, because you made money whether anybody joins you or not, and you literally just got paid to prospect.
Awesome. That sounds like a great option.
Yeah.
And also, some people, it takes them a lot longer to join your business or join you in whatever it is that you're doing. So it gives you a chance to see them again and again if they keep coming. But the point was well noted on, creating a different reason for them to come every time.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point. One of the hardest places to recruit somebody, especially if you get nervous at all when somebody asks what you do, or if you're kind of new to network marketing, or even if you've been around for a long time and you just don't like cold market prospecting, which I hate it, is the hardest person to prospect is somebody who you're never going to see again. Mm-hmm. Right? So if you see somebody and this is your only chance, there's so much pressure to say the right thing or do the right thing or get their phone number. Whereas if you're in a different situation where, let's say, you're talking to the Starbucks barista by your house, even if you don't bring something up to them, you're still going to be able to see them a second time or a third time or a fourth time. So you don't have to have all the pressure of doing the right thing the very first time. And so in that instance, you're probably in the grind quadrant where you're chasing people one at a time. So it's not the best, Starbucks baristas probably aren't the best, option there, but at least you're in a position where you're seeing the same person over and over. And with your Meetup group, as soon as somebody joins your group, you now have the ability to send them an email whenever you want. As soon as they come to your in-person event, now all of a sudden you have the ability where you've got their phone number as well, and you can call them whenever the heck you want. Not to mention the fact that if you just forget to call them or you don't do follow up, then you're probably going to see them at another event, and they'll just keep coming to event after event after event. You can build the relationship, and one of a case study that I have is my friend Mia. She has a group called Authentic Networkers, and she created her group. It's a networking group all about teaching people how to be authentic in their networking, and she just teaches all kinds of different stuff through her event. And she went about 6 months of just hosting events. And she said, Jimmie, I haven't prospected anybody yet. I built a bunch of relationships, but I haven't followed up properly. And so after 6 months of building her group, she's got hundreds of people that are part of her group now. And she just did a 20 and 30 launch. So anybody who follows Eric Worre knows what that is. And she just recruited 20 people in the last 30 days, and 100% of them came from her Meetup group. So even if you don't recruit people right away, you're still building that list. You're still building those relationships. And whenever you want, you're building a list of people that are excited to take your phone call. That's what you're building. Not a bunch of, names on a list. It's not whoever has the most contacts wins. If that was the case, then, anybody with a 1992 phone book, would have the most contacts. It's about how many people are excited to take your phone call that want to follow you. That's really the game. And so, whether you prospect them or not, you're still growing your authority with them. You're growing your leadership with them, and you're proving to them that you're somebody worth following. And once you've got that part done, then the recruiting part is easy.
I think it's great to give that much value first, and then you're not going to have a need to, go out recruiting everywhere. It's just, even like your friend, she gave 6 months of just like true value. And that's why probably people kept coming back, because they're like, I know this woman's not going to pitch to me. She's just going to teach me. So, they're not expecting anything from her. But if she's like, hey, I have something else that would help you, do you want to know about it? Then there's going to be a bunch of people that raise their hands.
Yeah, exactly. And I think sometimes we have, messed up expectations in network marketing. And I mean, Eric Worre talks about if you want to make a 6-figure income, go recruit 20 people in 30 days. If you want to make a 7-figure income, go do that a couple times in your career. So, if it took you 6 months of building relationships to get to a point where you could do a launch like that and start making a 6-figure income, I mean, where the heck else are you going to do that, right? Most people, I went to school for 2 years and I worked 40 hours a week. And I didn't get paid for any of that, and I went in debt. And at the end of it, it was like, well, now you can be a chef and make $12 an hour. I mean, ridiculous. And at the end of that, my friends and family clapped for me and were so excited about it. Whereas, you get into a business, if you were to do the same process and spend 2 years, building your network or learning your craft and honing your skills, and you put in 40 hours a week, and at the end of it, people said, how much money have you made? And you said, well, none. I've put in 40 hours a week and I've got paid nothing. And actually I'm in debt. I still have a student loan from network marketing. They'd tell you how big of a scam it is. So really, if you put that kind of lens on it and you say, it took 6 months, but it was, 2 events a month. It was 4 hours a month for 6 months. So she put in 24 hours of work over the last 6 months, and that didn't happen overnight, but that's not a huge amount of time. And she's been able to sort through literally thousands of people inside of that, 24 hours because there's all these people that are on Meetup that got exposed to her group, and some of them joined the group, some of them didn't. Then from there, there's a percentage of them that, that actually show up at the event. And then from there, there's people that circled yes on the form. And so every single one of those steps in her funnel is just disqualifying people. So she doesn't have to get a bunch of rejection and waste a bunch of time. And she was able to do all of that without a single phone call. It wasn't until people circled yes on her form that she actually physically reached out to them about what it is that she did.
Awesome. Well, I think that that sounds like such a beautiful in-person sales funnel. It's one of the best I've heard. So I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us today. If the listeners want to follow up with you and learn more about what you do or what you teach, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Sure. So, if what you want is to learn about how to use Meetup for your business, I go through an in-depth training how to do that. If you go to meetupfunnel.com, hopefully we can get that posted somewhere around the video here, but it's meetupfunnel.com. And when you go there, you can register for a webinar. And I go through about 90 minutes of content where it's visual. So I give case studies for fitness industry. I talk about how to do anything in the networking space, and really just how to come up with the idea for your group. So you can go ahead and register. Go through that. There's a bunch of free training. And then I also, inside of that webinar, give an option for people that want to continue to work together beyond that. I go through and explain exactly how you would do that as well. So if you want to just go on the webinar and grab some free content and leave it at that, that's fantastic. If you want and after going through the free content, if you want to learn more about how to work together, I will also explain that on the webinar.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on today. We really appreciate your time.
You're very welcome. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Just wanted to remind you that I have a free ebook for you, Attract Prospects to You. So if you're trying to magnetize the ideal clients and partners that you want, go ahead and click the link below and download it today. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you get updates every Monday when we post a new episode on Marketing Mondays. Share it with a teammate so it shows good leadership. And also leave me a comment below. Who do you want me to interview next? Or what kind of questions do you want me to answer? Can't wait to interact with you. I'll see you next time.